Okay. Okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Looks like we've had a little bit of a problem. Looks like YouTube is working. It doesn't look like our Facebook stream is working, and I can see that Instagram is working. So for whatever reason, Facebook doesn't seem to be working. I'm just going to give it just a minute to try and get that online. So if you can just bear with me for a couple of minutes, I'll just see what's going on here. I will be with you in just a second. Okay, so looks like we've had some technical difficulties with Facebook, but we're going to carry on all the same with the YouTube Live and Instagram. So first of all, thank you everybody for joining today. This is a little bit different for us. We've never done a Facebook Live or a YouTube live stream before, as you can probably tell by the technical difficulties. If everybody could just comment, if somebody could just comment just to make sure they can hear me and obviously that you can see me, that would be great. So yeah, they do say don't work with children or technology. So here we go. That's exactly what we're doing. So I've got the thumbs up from Anton there. So thank you very much for letting me know that everything's working okay. So let's get cracking on. So just to introduce myself, I'm David Morovitz. I'm the technical sales manager, one of our technical sales managers, I should say, for Trinnov Audio. Some of you may have seen me before at trade shows, but yeah, I'm one of a decent sized team now. We've got John and Chuck over in the US, we've got Joseph over in Asia, and we've obviously got Tom, who's currently out on the road as we speak, which is great. So I'm going to be taking the presentation today. So this is, as I say, a bit of a different way of us getting the message across about our new 4.2.16 software release that we are we released last night. So possibly some of you, if not a lot of you, have already downloaded it and started having a play. So not to ruin the surprise, but yeah, it is now out there and available. So I will show you during the presentation how to upgrade your unit, and we'll do a live demonstration of the software. So yeah, let's go ahead and crack on. So I'm just going to get the presentation up and make myself a little bit smaller, which you'll all be probably thankful for. And let's get going. If you can hear any sort of high pitch sort of whirring in the background, that is my laptop. I've been trying to quieten it down all day, but unfortunately this program is rather CPU hungry. So my laptop is working pretty well flat out to do this today. So yeah, thumbs up to the old MacBook Pro, but there we go. So that was the introduction section. So this is what is actually available to you as Altitude customers in the new 4.2.16 software release. The big one is the Dolby Atmos Object Viewer. Okay, so this is hotly anticipated. We have given you a couple of teasers along the way as to what this is. We've had it as a beta for a little while now, but we're now releasing it to the public for you to have on your machines. So I'll talk a bit more about that in detail in a bit. We have the input pulse generator as well. Okay, so that's a really nice feature, something that certainly our advanced calibrators have been asking for. So that's great. I'll go over factory PEQ and the additional enhancements as we go. And yeah, there is a Q&A, formal Q&A at the end if you've got anything that you want me to answer about the release. If there's anything particularly interesting that I think the group will find interesting, I will absolutely bring it up during the session, and otherwise we'll get cracking on. So just before we begin, it's been a wonderful 2020, apart from the obvious massive hulking great elephant in the room that is COVID. But actually at Trinnov we've won a number of awards, and we are the first manufacturer in fact to win an ESA award for the second time. This was given to us for the Altitude platform. So this is a very prestigious award, and to win it twice is, as I say, it hasn't been done before. And it really pays testimony to the upgradability of the Altitude platform. So since 2014, late 2014, when the first units were released, they can enjoy this very latest update. And in fact, I did an update to serial unit number 4 just the other day, which was, yeah, again, that was a very early unit that was sent out. So, you know, you buy into the Altitude platform, not just for its performance, but for its longevity. And we do actually have a webinar coming up at the end of this month. So just, I think it's next week on the, I haven't got the date on the top of my head, but it is next week, presented by our very own John Heron, which goes into a bit more detail about, you know, just how good an investment Trinnov product is for your home cinema. We then won CE Pro's Best Product Award 2020. So that was given to us during the virtual CEDIA event that happened last week. So that's another fantastic award for us. And we are also a finalist for the Global CEDIA Awards. I have put the logo up here just for the EMEA section, but we are obviously in that for the worldwide award as well, which is fantastic. So really looking like a very good year for us as a company. So thank you all for your support on, first of all, being loyal customers, and then second of all, for sticking with us. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the webinar of the session here, which is the 4.2.16 software update. So I'm going to go through it, and I've also got a planned live demonstration as well. So as if I wasn't already having enough problems with the Facebook stream, which I'm just, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to work for us still, so we'll just carry on. So I'm also going to do a live demonstration of the Atmos object viewer. Okay, I'm going to discuss the input pulse generator and the factory PEQ as we go. So what is a Dolby Atmos object viewer? Well, what it allows you to do and this is a unique feature throughout the residential AV space. You are able to analyze your content and actually see what the content creators are doing with the objects that you can see on the screen there. So the yellow dots that you can see, they are audio objects. So just to fill anybody in who's not quite up to speed with what object audio is, normally you'd have had a channel-based structure, so 5.1, 7.1 as it's previously been, or stereo, of course. Objects now are a little ball that the mixing engineer has access to, and they can give it a position in a 3D space. So you can see that around the room, you can see we've got these balls that are going to be moving. So I'll show you that in a live capture in just a second. But this is a whole new way of actually analyzing your content. Now, is this a useful feature? Well, yes, of course it is. I truly believe it is. And it's one of those things that, you know, it's going to get used a lot in reviews. We've already had a fantastic video put up on YouTube from Shane at Spare Change Reviews, who's done a lot of things with us recently in the US, along with my colleague John, on reviewing the Altitude platform. And he does a lot of Blu-ray reviews, and he will be using the Atmos object viewer to help describe what he's hearing in the mix. So you can see from this that if you've got a very dull mix and not a lot going on, you're going to have a lot of black squares and not a lot of dots moving around. If you've got a very active mix, you're going to have nice green squares all lit up and lots of balls flying around, which are the sound objects flying around the 3D space. So it's a great tool, not only for end customers to gain a bit of an insight into what the content creator is trying to achieve, but also for dealers as well. So our customers that we deal with on a daily basis, it's going to be a very useful tool for you guys, not only to help explain what object audio is to the masses that come in that maybe aren't up to speed with the technology, but also to help you pick your demo content as well. Obviously, when you're trying to show an object-orientated system to its best ability, you want some active content. So this will actually allow you to really dig in deep and pick the most active content to really wow your customers during your demonstrations. So that's a fantastic feature. What it also allows you to do is explain the concept of high spatial resolution. So this is something that we obviously believe very highly in at Trinnov. And this is having the most amount of speaker points to help the renderer and the decoder actually place those sounds within the 3D space. So it stands to reason that the more speakers you have and more speaker locations you have, the better you can locate those objects in the 3D space. If you've only got 5 speakers, so a 5.1.4, let's say, as your Atmos solution, you've got a very big gap between your front, left, center, right, and your surround speaker, which is next to you. There's a very big gap in between there. And if you've got no speakers to fill it, then there's not really going to be much sound coming from that area. So again, it's part of the process, helping you guys explain what object-based audio is all about. So rather than go through all these slides, I'm just going to flick these forwards, and I'm just going to switch my screen over to my live interface here. Okay, so this is my unit here, and I'm just going to show you how this is all done. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this interface, this is not our very home screen, but this is known as our speaker declaration page. So this is where you tell the system how many speakers and where they're positioned in the room. Okay, and so for our integrators, this will be very, very familiar. So this is a 3D representation of the room, and you can see my pink speakers at the top here are my overhead speakers, so left top front, left top middles, and right top middles, and rear top speakers as well. And you can see my subwoofers down there just as a representation on the screen. So you come into this page. This looks like the little 3D box view that you've got here. And we now have a new tab So where you previously had controls and the ability to change the size of the room here, the representation of the room, we now have another tab which is called monitoring. And you're first of all going to click the meters. Okay, now you can see there's some content running on my unit, and you can see that all the speakers are lit up green. Okay, which is great. So we can tell there is content coming from those speakers. You can see currently the wides and the top middles are a little bit quiet, but you can see there are some content getting up there. One thing that I have done here is used the volume offset. Okay, now this is quite a cool feature. You can see that my main volume is very, very low. This is in the room next door to me. So if I was to have this up at a decent level where you would typically have, let's say it's at minus 30, somewhere between minus 30 and minus 20 to get this nice, action on the normal VU meters. Because I'm doing a live stream today and I don't want to be interrupted by my own content demo, I've got the volume really low, but then I can put the volume offset up nice and high so that you can see if I turn it down, you can see the speakers fade away. And of course, if I increase it, you can see they get very bright indeed. Okay, so that's a really cool feature. So you can monitor your content without absolutely ripping the back end out of your system as well, which is fantastic. This is a really nice feature, so you can play it nice and quiet and just take the time to study the meters. Of course, the interesting tab here is Atmos monitoring. So I'm going to turn that on, and now you can see what we're talking about here. So you can see all these little yellow balls starting to move their way around the room. And at the moment, we're in a combination view where you've got the speakers, the VU meters, and typically it's just got to the end of the clip. So let's just give it a second to start another clip. There we go. So we've got the speakers, which can be hidden. So you can just see the objects flying around the room, which is, it's nice and clear, but it doesn't really tell you much about which of your speakers are active. So we've got this combination view. And if at any time you want to pause it, so you can take a snapshot of, a screenshot or whatever of a particular piece of content, you absolutely can. We then have the controls down here, so you can turn off the different objects. So I can turn off the beds, which you can see turns off the subwoofers. I can turn off dynamic, which is all the dynamic objects, which are the yellow balls. And then we have ISF, which is a setting that's mainly used by gaming. So any of you gamers out there, using Atmos gaming content, this is the setting that you will want to have checked. Okay. So we have got a bit of development to do on the ISF setting, because it's pulling slightly different metadata to the Atmos objects. So we can pull the metadata straight in because we have the information to do so, but we do have a little bit more work to do on the ISF side. So we will do a bit of a release update to that at some point in life. But I think it's very, very important that we get this out into the public eye after we've teased it, and so you guys can get there and use it. So that is the Atmos monitoring. So there's not really much more to say about it other than, download the update and have a go. All right, it's a great feature. I hope you'll agree. And we're very excited to release it to the public. I'm not seeing any questions coming in just yet. I've got lots of thumbs up and lots of I can hear yous and all of that, but no questions about the object viewer itself at the moment. So I'll take it that you're all completely amazed. Stunned silence. So hopefully you guys come up with some questions for the Q&A a little bit later on. So let me just... okay, so... let me just stop the metering here. And I'm going to go back to my presentation. So this was a lovely clip, a lovely comment, I should say, that was left on the YouTube channel earlier today or last night. I think it's from somebody in the US. So Scooter Extreme, if you are watching, thank you very, very much for this comment. It is a real testimony to the Altitude platform, and you know, we do continue to innovate, and we do have a number of updates coming this year that are really going to make a massive difference in the industry, not just to our to our product, but to sound in general. We're doing a lot of research and development in the background. So thank you very much for that comment. So, input pulse generator. Now, this is one for the calibrators out there. Okay, this is not an everyday kind of function that you'll be using. So, what does this do? So, this is housed in our processor tab, and it's on the inputs page. Okay, so I can show you where exactly that is on the interface in just a second. What this is really designed to do is to give you a built-in pulse, so that you can use your ear to potentially time align subwoofers or whatever it might be, typically used for subwoofers, once you've added all your speakers in and you want to time align those subwoofers and make sure they're integrated properly and time align correctly with the front LCRs to create the biggest impact. This is a really useful feature. We were personally forever, and it's something that's actually bugged me over the years. At trade shows, we were always fishing around for a demo disc or something that provided us with a click or something that we could use to better define and just really finitely dial in those subwoofer delays. And we always really struggled to find it. So I resorted to finding a track, and it was actually given to me by one of my Swedish customers. And so it was a track there that it was a kick drum. So it was a sample of a kick drum, and it was just that boom, 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 over and over and over again. And it was something that you had to fish out and have to, we played it through Rune and sent it to the Altitude via the Rune streaming input and used that as a method. So but this is now built in, so you don't need any external software or devices. You just have this inbuilt pulse. It's a broadband tone, so it's really, really nice sharp click. And it makes it very, very easy for those that use it to time align the subs correctly, which is fantastic. So that's a feature that's been asked for by our most advanced calibrators, and no doubt a couple of those guys are watching today. So that's there ready for you guys to use. So I will just head back to the interface and show you where that is. Okay, so we're into the advanced settings now. So this is unfamiliar territory for some of you and familiar territory for others. So this is in the processors tab. You can see the normal VU meters just doing their thing. If we go to inputs, you now have this box here, which is pulse. Okay, so by using a combination of sending a pulse through the LFE, and if you then go to the outputs tab, and providing you've got bass management on, you can solo out the LCRs, and you can solo out your sub or subs, whichever ones you want to do at the time. Okay, and the click will now just be coming through sub 4, and you can now go to the output delays tab, and you can dial that in with the adjustment that you have here down to 0.1 of a millisecond. Okay, so this is a fantastic feature. As I say, it's one that's been really asked for by those expert calibrators that we have out there. So you now absolutely have that option. So let me just get rid of all of that and get my system back up and running to where it was, should I need to head back and look at something a little later on. So you can tell I'm new at this. It's not exactly the slickest switching of screens, but I'm doing my best. So there we go. So if we were to plot it on an impulse graph, you can see it would just be a absolute up and down, immediate, very, very sharp clicks. So there's no extra reverberant sound or anything from a clip like a kick drum recording. So it makes it really easy just to dial that in. So hopefully you guys enjoy that feature. So factory PEQ, this is another nice feature. Now we've had PEQ on the units for since forever. It's a pretty standard feature on AV processors. But this is something that we actually did with our OEM partner, JBL. So the SDP75 processor, the JBL synthesis processor, is a Trinnov product. It's certainly not hidden, the fact that that's the case. And the advantage with that product in particular is that it has all the PEQ settings for the entire JBL synthesis speaker line. Okay, so and obviously, you know, it's great to have those settings in there, but it's not necessarily you know, public information that speaker manufacturers want to give. Okay, so in the SDP75, that's all hidden. So what you can see here on my screen is you can see just, oops, sorry. What you can see here is just some random PEQ settings that I've got in here. Okay, just you know, in the PEQ tab as you would normally do. And we do have PEQs available for the following speakers that I have here. So we have those files available for you to load into your unit and upload, but all of the figures will be shown. So for speaker manufacturers, they can request from us a Excel spreadsheet, and they can go ahead and fill in all that information, and then we can produce it as a factory PEQ. The speakers will be listed by model, and you'll be able to load that into your unit and get the PEQ information. And all of that information will be hidden. So for those speaker manufacturers, it just gives you that extra bit of security there. And yeah, fantastic feature. So we're looking forward to all the requests coming in so that we can add to that library. So that's the main features of the 4.2.16 update. I'm just going to go very quickly through some of the enhancements, and then we should be about time for a few questions. I know, John, I've seen, and actually a lot of you guys that are Trinnov users have also been answering the questions they've been coming in, so that's very much appreciated. But I will just probably bring a couple of them to the forefront a bit later. So some of the enhancements that we've done, we've added the DTS-X speaker locations to the Trinnov declared layouts. Okay, so you can see in this view here, which is the maximum possible speaker layout that we can generate. We have all the speakers in, above screen channels, below screen channels, center speakers, center height rears, all of those speakers that that you want to add to your systems. We now have those in the layouts. Again, with the PEQ side, we never had a little indicator to say when a speaker had PEQ applied to it and when it didn't. Now it's highlighted in blue. So if you add a PEQ to a speaker, you will know it because it will be highlighted in blue there. Okay, so that's just a little enhancement there. And also, ISO recently changed the scale of the graphic EQ faders, so we're now back in line with that scale. And also, you can see we go down to 10 Hertz on the graphic EQ there as well. Okay, so just some small enhancements, nothing groundbreaking there, but just some little features that some of you might well notice. So we did have a question earlier on from Glenn saying, how do we actually get the update? Well, here we go. So first of all, the best thing to do if you're an end user is to ask your dealer. Okay, now we have a platform called my.trinnov, which is available to all of our custom integrators out there, where they can log into your units remotely. Okay, now this is a fantastic feature. Anyone who follows myself or the team on Instagram or Facebook or any of the social platforms will see we regularly use this platform for remote calibrations and troubleshooting and just general support help as well. It's a fantastic platform. So as long as your unit's connected to the internet, then we can see it online and we can perform the various updates. So as I say, contact your dealer and they'll be able to do this for you. If this unit needs registering, then just go through the process. We'll advise you dealers on how to do that, but it's a very straightforward process, and we'll get you up and down. So the update itself takes about 5 minutes. I did mine earlier today. Took around 5 to 10 minutes, something like that. Always after we do these sessions, everybody is immediately clicking, trying to find how to do the update and all going for it. So some of the updates may well be queued. Okay, now we do this to protect our servers. Obviously, we don't want the servers to crash due to being overloaded, so we do have a queuing system. So do be patient. If your update is queued, it will get there. But obviously, if everybody's trying to do it at the same time, then it's going to take a bit of time to get through. Okay. So the other way is to update your panel, update your unit from the front panel. Okay. Now, this is not a default setting. Okay. So for you end users out there, again, if you're checking your unit and it doesn't have this, it's purely because it's not enabled by default. Okay. So you can get into update via the front panel. Just go through the menu system and you'll find the info tab, and then you can go to update. And if you have access to the VNC interface that we have here, it's very simple. Just click on the info, go to updates and check for updates and then proceed. Okay, now it does ask you to switch off your amplifiers. This is advised because the unit will reboot a couple of times during the process. And that could cause some clicking or some noises to come out of your amplifiers. So we do very much advise you turn those off prior to updating. Okay, so not a massively long presentation for you guys today, but I do want to stop and take a look at some of the questions. So lots of nice comments. Thank you all very much. And as I say, John and some of our other more advanced users that have been tuning in have been in and answered a lot of the questions already. So we've got one here from Michael. So it says here that the release note mentions support for the new HDMI 2.0 board. Did you mean HDMI 2.1? No, we didn't. No, that is not a typo. Some of you may have seen in a press release recently. Let me just change my screen over here. Oh, that's the one I wanted. There you go. So some of you may have seen recently the press release that we did announcing our partnership with Cypress Technologies. Okay, so they're our new HDMI board manufacturer. It is still an HDMI 2.0 board, but it does take advantage of some of the HDMI 2.1 features, such as eARC. Okay, so you can now have that as an input on your machine, plug it into your TV or display, whatever it is that's serving up the content, and you can get that back to the altitude. Okay, so anyone who buys a unit from, as of, 2 weeks ago, that will be a unit with the new board. And there will be an upgrade path at some point. It's going to be towards the end of the year, but all of you guys out there that have altitudes at the moment, don't feel like you need to upgrade your HDMI board. It's very much a sideways development, just with adding a couple of these extra features. So if you didn't need eARC when you bought it, then likelihood is you probably don't need it at the moment. So Obviously, there will be an HDMI 2.1 board at some point in the future. Obviously, when we're ready to announce that, we will. So, yeah, thank you for your question there. Okay, we have another question here. I'm not going to have a go at that username there, so I don't want to make an absolute hash of it. So someone who has a pretty complicated surname myself, I won't try and make a hash of it. So can I use the Altitude 32 for post-production of Atmos mixing with Pro Tools in an Atmos production suite? Now, this product is pretty exclusive to the high end. We do work with some post-production facilities, so I'm not going to list them all, but particularly, we work with MSM Studios. So you might have seen an interview we did recently with Stefan Bock of MSM, and they do use an they do use an Altitude as part of their Atmos playback solution in their studios. So yeah, it's something that can be used on a commercial basis, but yeah, it's really designed for the residential sector. We have other products that are better suited to the pro environment. So, okay. So, where is it? Where's that question gone? Okay, here it is. So question from Michael. So will there be a similar product for DTSX and DTSX Pro? So the plan is to add a similar functionality for DTSX Pro, but it's not the same metadata addressing system. I don't know the ins and outs of it. That's way above my knowledge level, and that's with my R&D department. But the plan is to be able to do this for DTSX soundtracks as well at some point in the future. So of course we'll announce that to you as and when we get to it. Okay, so any updates on iMax Enhance? Not to my knowledge. I believe it is still with DTS for approval and for accreditation and certification. So, yeah, that's taking a bit more time. We're ready on our side. You know, we have everything ready on our software side. We're just waiting for the go button from our friends at DTS. So hopefully we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. Okay. Okay. So, when is Dolby Surround Upmixer going to be updated for the front wides? Well, you'd have to ask Dolby on that one. Unfortunately, that's nothing to do with us. Fortunately, we can't take the grief for that one. That is to do with the way that Dolby, address their wides and the way they create the algorithm for the upmixer. So I believe it's being addressed. I don't know the details. Again, I'm not. I tend to not get too deep into that side of things that are coming way into the future. But I know it's something that is being addressed on Dolby's side. So as and when they give us the information to do so, we will obviously do an update. And as you can tell, we will update it and offer it out to you guys for free in a future upgrade, as always. Okay, so nice question again from Michael. Thank you, Michael. Will there be a display feature for Auro 3D, even though Auro 3D is not object-based? So I kind of get where you're going with that one, Michael, but it kind of is. It kind of is already there if you look at it. It's just a 3D representation of the meters, because there's no 3D spatial information to get hold of. The fact that you can see the meters working in your 3D space and you can see which speakers are being used in your Auro mix is about as much as we can get. The Auro the guys mixing in Oro don't have any further tools than that themselves. So yeah, that's all we can offer at this stage until a time where Oro goes object based, if indeed they ever do. Okay. Okay. People liking the impulse generator, which is great. I thought that was one of the, for me, it's one of the more interesting features going to, when we go around doing these calibrations, it's a great tool to have. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying that as well. Okay, lots of people commenting on the factory PEQ. Anton's going to have a chat to all his vendors and make sure that they give us all the specs. So thank you, Anton. We look forward to you pushing that. Thank you very much. I think looks like that's about it actually for all the questions today. So I'm just going to advance my slide on briefly just to give you an email address. Hopefully that looks in better resolution than it does on my display here. But the email address at the bottom there is highend@trinnov.com. So if you do think of any questions following this this live broadcast, do send it to highend@trinnov.com. Or of course, if you're in direct contact with us as sales managers, please do just ping us an email. So unless there's any further questions. Here we go. Michael's on the ball again today. Thank you very much. So Michael's asked, the new Marantz features a cable test mode in there with their new HDMI board. This is a planned feature, so we are going to be doing another firmware upgrade for later in the year. I can't tell you as and when it's going to be just yet. It is still a little way off, but we are planning to release the cable test ability, full matrix function, and as I understand it, there was one more as well, which is on-screen display. Okay, so for showing volume levels and other things. Okay, listening formats, etc. Okay. Okay. Well, as we've come to the end, I meant to show this earlier on, but this is a little promo video that my marketing designer Benoit put together. So I want to show it for you now. This is available for you guys on YouTube. So this is a demonstration video, should you wish to download it to your iPad or whatever, so you can take it out with you when you go demonstrating to clients. So I'm just going to roll that now. This is an object viewer based on our own experience trailer. So I'm just going to show that for you before we sign off. There we go. So I actually meant to start with that, but we get there when we can. So right, I think I'm just going to come back to the questions. Oh, here we go. So yes, we will have a recording of this. So that will be available. We'll leave it up on our YouTube channel, and I'll also try and get it onto our webinar platform as well, and we'll let you know where the link is for that. Okay. Yeah, I think that's about it. Glenn's asked, is there any plans for an iOS app? Not so much. We do have a Trinnov app for Mac and PC, but it's really what it's useful for is for discovering the unit and then logging into the local VNC. But what you can actually do, if I just, for those of you that want to control the unit using the iPad, let me just increase my screen size here. Okay, so if you look at the top, you can see this URL. So it's the IP address of the unit /vnc.html. Okay, I use this all the time. When I'm sat watching telly in the evening, I'm always fiddling around with settings, much to the dismay of my other half. She says, "Why can't you just watch the content? Why do you have to mess about with it all the time?" And I say, because that's what we do. But if you just go onto Safari or whatever web browser you use on any mobile device, type in the IP address of your unit /vnc.html. You can get right into the same screen that you can see me using here. And you can have access to all the settings, inputs, outputs, etc., etc. And you can have a play. All right. So I think we'll call that a day. So thank you all for joining me on this first YouTube live. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get there with Facebook, but I do understand it's working on Instagram. So at least we got 2 out of 3, which hopefully some of you will agree isn't bad. Do check back with us soon. We are going to be doing more live videos for you. My next one is going to be in a couple of weeks time, and we're actually going to do a live run through of using the altitude setup wizard. So you're going to see how to perform a calibration, and yeah, that should be a lot of fun. All right, so that's it for today. Thanks all for joining, and we hope to see you again soon. So I'm going to sign off. Have a great evening, great morning, great day, and we'll speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.